We're in studio.
So.
Oh, live.
We're live now. There we go. Good morning, America.
Yeah.
Hey. All right. So thank you for joining us, guys. A little bit of a technical glitch. We're a little delayed, but thank you all for being here. I guess you guys are actually all together on time. And then, of course, YouTube had different plans for us. So we'll see. We might have to look into different platforms, I think, in the future. That's a big part of what we've been doing is exploring platforms. And I want to kick it off real quick. I know some of you folks out there, if anybody's watching, have met Mark and Seth before, but you haven't met Alex. Alex Eaton has joined us from Bread Wallet, as well as a number of other projects. Alex has a good bit of experience in the space. And so I'll without further ado, Alex, all I can say is I was very impressed at the Bitcoin Super Conference. So I'll let you tell me what brings you here. What brought you to this conversation?
Sure. So you asked me to come on, and I'm happy to. But no. Personally, anybody that ever asked me to do anything that could possibly be viewed by people that want to learn about Bitcoin, I'm always down for. I'll try and keep it short and sweet because I could talk for 15 minutes about me, and I don't like to do that. So here's what I do. My number one passion right now is working for Bread Wallet or Bread, formerly Bread Wallet, and most everyone in the cryptocurrency space has heard of Bread Wallet. It's basically was the very first phone wallet that was allowed on Apple. And it was the only phone wallet allowed on Apple for years, just because of how secure it was. And I can definitely go into Bread a little bit later. I'll do an overview. So I'm community manager for Bread, which means I run the Telegram channel. I maintain some of their social networks. We built an ambassador program. So we hired a whole bunch of, 7 for now, but 12 by the end of March. And they're doing other things like managing different language Telegram channels for us because we're in 140 countries. So it doesn't make sense for one gentleman who speaks English to help the whole world. So we're really trying to use our ambassadors to build more, right? So we have a Spanish and a Chinese. We'll have a Russian and an Indian and just all over the world.
Amazing.
Because at the end of the day, the reason they even hired me was I've been in this space for about 5 years teaching the basics of Bitcoin, really keeping it simple. I think the basics are the most important thing. And customer support is lacking in our lacking in our industry. So I said, let me build customer support through Telegram. I'll show and prove to you guys how reliable and how helpful that's going to be to the users and investor relations. And then if that's a success, bring me on full time and we will build that out. I mean, I don't see why we can't have a call center, as big as CVS one day. At the end of the day, Bread is a wallet, right? But all wallets will, in my humble opinion, eventually become banks, decentralized banks, as it were. So having the ability to have the same properties as a bank does right now, but without all the negativity, without all the ability to screw your users over.
All right. So I know you said you didn't want to talk too much, so I'm going to interrupt you right there. So this is part of my goal here. I want to help you here with this message. We need to turn bank, right? Your wallet's not a bank.
Yeah, bring it back. Bring the word back.
Bank. We're turning bank back from a noun to a verb. So people can bank on Bread or bank on Bitcoin or bank on whatever technology they are relying on to provide them services, as opposed to a bank being a static, immortal entity in our legal framework.
And the big difference between us and banks, I'd say the biggest, is that we don't hold your money. So we are a non-custodial bank. A good difference to show a difference of opinion is a lot of people know Coinbase. Coinbase, they hold your private keys. They store your money for you. We don't. So you can hold your money on our wallet or in our bank, right? But you have full 24/7 access to it, and we don't have any access to it whatsoever, ever, period. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to work for them. Was that's kind of how I look at the future of money, is not relying on any business entity or person to hold or control your money. You should have your money. You should always have your money. It's a simple idea that somehow got corrupted before I was born. So now we have to fix it.
All of us.
So Bread, right? Also, and we can go back to that, of course. I'd love to talk about Bread more. It is my number one priority right now. But I also have a podcast called B-Libre on SoundCloud. And just like you guys, we interview companies, coins, and spaces in this ecosystem and really just try and learn more. Love to learn.
Awesome.
About a year ago, I built something called the Bitcoin Beginner Box, if I may.
Well, actually, no, you may not actually, because I actually have one here.
There you go.
That will be opening up today.
Sure. So I built that about a year ago, and after educating one-on-one and doing meetups and group talks. And I felt like I could do more than just one-on-ones. How can I reach more people faster? So that box was built. I wrote a 40-page book. I partnered with a lot of, I like ethical and moral. Those are the two words I use all the time.
Nice.
If you're ethical and moral, I want to partner with you. So that's actually how I met Bread in the first place. Was I contacted Bread and I said, this is what I'm doing. And they wanted to provide me help and support without asking anything ever in return. And that's a true statement. They never asked for anything. They were just like, that's amazing. What a great product. You're a young entrepreneur. We want to help. So basically, I'm not gonna. You'll open it, but
yeah. Well, actually, so that's what I'd like to do. So I wasn't able to quite like line up a real beginner to open this up with, but
no worries.
I might rebox it and we'll work on that later. But so Bitcoin beginner box. This is brilliant. So simple. You know, I wish I could have got it recorded. In fact, I bet you somebody had something rolling, and I want to see if I can track it down, because at the end of the conference, I loved it when like some guy from some other event showing up at the end rolls in. He's like, "Is this a pizza?" And it's like, "Do you know where you are, buddy?" This is awesome. So this little box here, let me get the camera to stick on us here
so
for a minute.
Partners
here.
On the back. Partners on the back.
So we got some partners here that you've been working with. You know,
and we have more partners now, but
yeah, I mean, and this is like, you know, this is just like a little, you know, pet project. You know, how many of these do you produce in a set? Because each one has a unique set of contents, right?
Yeah. So it's funny. A lot of people think I'm making a lot of money with this, and that wasn't the intent. I make 100 boxes at a time. And like I said, I sell them for $75. And the reason I only sell a limited amount per time, I call them my waves, right? So wave 1, 100 boxes, wave 2, 100 boxes. Is because each box I sell, when you go through it, you read the book, you play with everything, you do it. Because it actually, when you open the book, chapter 2 is, I ask you to do things. I ask you to download a Bitcoin wallet. I ask you to, you know, make an account with, buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, try everything. You don't have to, but I show you how. So at the end of it, you can contact me and I give you a free 1 hour one-on-one, just like how we're talking here, except it'll be one-on-one through Skype, Hangouts, whatever's best for the individual. And we go through and figure out what they want to do next. Because at the end of the day, somebody might buy that box to learn about Bitcoin and realize after doing it that they want to mine Bitcoin, or maybe they have a business and they want to accept Bitcoin, or maybe they want to invest in altcoins and they just need a little bit of guidance on how to do that. Or maybe they, the biggest one, so that's my mascot that I played with.
I like that. I like it because it's small. You know, you don't want to be too out there because who knows, you know. But I like it. You know, somebody's paying attention will pick up on it. You know, I met some great people in the airport just because I noticed there was something that said Bitcoin on it. I said, "Oh, dude, we didn't meet at the conference yet."
That's how we see each other
for 4 more hours on the airplane. You know, like where else do you do that? You know, this is amazing. So ask me about my Bitcoin. That's right. Not how much.
Now, at the end of the day, the biggest piece of advice I give people is to just set up an auto buy function most of the time. You know, buy $5 or $10 a month, and at the end of the day, 5-10 years from now, that'll be a lot. But the biggest problem I see is people thinking that, and I don't mean this to sound rude at all. We all think we're special. It's part of being human, right? But it's like, oh, I heard about Bitcoin today for the first time, so now I'm going to put in 10,000. It's going to double tomorrow because I just heard of it. And it's just it's a paradox of humanity. So that's not the fact of the matter is, you know, you could put in 10,000 and it's very volatile. It could go to 15,000 or 5,000 the next day. So I try and teach people to do it bit by bit, as it were, right? Where, you know, you're not investing more than you can afford, because that's really the only way I see that people have a bad time, other than not storing it properly, of course.
Well, the other thing is, you know, if I may, I just think that people need to become more collaborative. They need to have conversations, talk about it with their friends, sort out the little things that they don't understand and that their friends don't understand or their family doesn't understand. And like you said, put in a little bit by bit so that your skin's in the game, but you're not like overexposed.
No, you just need to taste it. See what it feels like, right? And after a month, even if you put in $5 and for that month, you watch it go from 4 to 3 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 10, and let's say the end of the month it's right back at 5.
You've learned more about what money is.
Right. You've seen that volatility, and when it's a little bit, you start to understand it. And that way, when you put in 1,000 or 10,000, you're not freaking out as much, because somebody that starts with a big number is going to be just as volatile as a little number. But
below.
So you know, there's that meme where you see a little girl on a roller coaster, and she's freaking the hell out, and it says "brand new crypto trader," and then there's a guy that just looks really unimpressed with his hands, and it's like a long-term crypto trader. Because after you've been doing it for a while, the volatility doesn't really freak you out anymore. You just realize it's part of a healthy market. It's a normal thing. Yeah, you get a shirt.
Yeah. Everybody got to get a shirt. right?
Unboxing
right.
video in the middle of the live.
That's right. Hey, what the heck, you know?
Hey, awesome. Somebody
We're
else
being
did it.
real, right? That stuff is awesome. Yeah, man. And besides, who better to unbox it with than you? You can explain it. So this is your guide, right? So
We've
I
got a
won't,
little bit of reverb.
oops, let's give you the sponsor shot there. So these are all your sponsor the box there.
Yeah, and I really just like to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. These guys. So tell you what. Yeah. What's crypto? Well, I won't go to crypto art yet. We got a little special treat about them. But tell me about San Antonio Crypto Network.
Sure. So the San Antonio Crypto Network really is probably one of the just another pet project for me. At the end of the day, after learning about Bitcoin for the first day, I did. You know, it's funny. Everybody has their own thoughts on. I'm sorry, Joanne. I'm gonna mute you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Because I keep hearing that the reverb. No, it's nothing more than a Facebook page. At the end of the day, I think I built it 4 years ago, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice if there was just a page where people could join and they could come ask me a question anytime they wanted about anything cryptocurrency related. It's never really blown up to be 100,000 members. I think we have like 200 members, but that's 200 members that I have absolutely helped year after year after year, and more people join all the time. And at the end of the day, that's really all it is. It's not a business. It's just it was my very first foray into building something in this space. And I hold it down steady because I mean, here, funny enough, like here, let me move my camera. So like, I'll go to conferences and stuff and I'll promote it. It's just
cool.
It's just my baby. It's the first thing I ever did in the space. But no, it's nothing more than an information catalyst. It's just a place where you can come ask me questions for free.
Awesome. And blockchain at Berkeley, is that
So that's a partner because at the end of the day, I got really, really impressed by the group that decided to do that. That's the very first undergraduate degree at Berkeley. So they can teach you, and you can go to college to learn about blockchain technology. And so I just reached out to them and I said, hey, I want people to know about this. And they were like, well, that's great. If you put us in the book, we'll definitely let people know about you. So simple partnership.
Cool.
So
there's a little more detail in here on CureCoin, which we've actually talked about them a little bit here. So that's a nice little detailed pamphlet about their 501(c), and people have heard from me on them as well. But I see they're also a sponsor of the beginner box. And of course,
everybody always asks, "What's your favorite coin?" And I don't base it on how much money a coin's made me or how powerful it is. I base it on what it does. And bread to me is the best utility coin in the world. And your listeners probably already know, but it's a coin that basically incentivizes human beings to get a little bit of processing power from their computer, get in return bread tokens, which helps cure diseases by folding proteins, which is the first of 7 stages to cure problems, right? So the way I see it is the more we fold, the faster we solve cancer, basically.
Right. So I'm sorry, can you I gotta rewind. I think I missed something there. Did you say bread tokens? So
I'm sorry, I should have said CureCoin.
Yeah, okay.
That's my bad.
So real quick, I wanted to get to that though. This is your little bread app brochure in there. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the recent bread ICO, please.
Sure. So I'll just give you the details, not too much the background, but Bread's been a wallet for a little over 3, almost 4 years now. It's always been a free wallet. It will always be a free wallet. And it was always Bitcoin centric. It only held Bitcoin. And the team that developed it, started to realize that tokens were becoming, and smart contracts were becoming very important. And if they were going to, keep building and growing, they needed to, address that. So at the end of the day, they decided that they wanted to become a digital currency bank, meaning holding all currencies that come out over the next however many years. So when I addressed them and I had them on the podcast, I asked them, I said, so I understand you're going to do ERC20. That's hot right now. Everybody wants to hold their coins, but what happens next year when, Neo really takes off? Or what if Stratus takes off? What if Exodus takes off? Or what about Ethereum Classic? Or what about Waves? Or what about this one or that one? And there's so many smart contract platforms that we, at this current date, some people give them credit, some people don't. But at the end of the day, they will be building dApps and people will be building coins on them, and they will need a place to be held. And as long as they're not a nefarious or malicious or evil corporation or coin or token, somebody's going to have to hold them. So we thought, why don't we try and just be that? where we're not biased about what's being held. Again, as long as it's not malicious, a scam, you know, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where the forefront came from. The idea for what the new version of Bread or BRD is. Now, that's the wallet, right? That's the holding, that's the bank. The Bread token came out because at the end of the day, most good banks have a phenomenal reward system, right? Like if you get a credit card, you get your points, right? You spend money. If you have a bank account and you spend a certain amount, you're going to get a better loan rate, right? So all these perks for using these banks. So that's where the idea for Bread token was born, as nothing more than a reward system for the wallet itself. So it's simple, and I'll definitely put some links if you'd like some.
Person value trade.
But the best link right now is really how we structured it, which is we call it the Waterfall rewards platform. So it's really based on how many Bread tokens you have. So if you hold, let's say, and I want to caveat and say that this has not started yet, right? So a lot of people are wondering about price. I'm not here to talk about the price of any currency. You'll see the true utility and the true value of Bread tokens over the course of 18 as we start to add these functions and features. So basically we have a tier platform, right? So tier 1 to tier 10. Tier 10 is high, tier 1 is low, right? So let's say tier 10, you hold 100,000 Bread tokens. Now, right now, let's say Bread is $1, that would be $100,000 worth of Bread tokens. So as these rewards or platforms and applications and abilities start to come down, they'll go to tier 10 first. And then once we bring in a second one, that first one will go down to tier 9 and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So eventually, I'd say over the course of the year, even if you have tier 1, which could easily be 5 Bread tokens, right? Just a small amount, you're eventually going to start getting all the rewards pushed down. So a lot of people look at this crypto space and they forget that we last a long time in our lives, and these companies aren't going to be 6 months companies. We're not dying. We're planning on staying around till we're dead, right? Bread will be here when I'm dead. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
So the more abilities that come, the more abilities those lower tiers get. So of course you want to have people. There are people that want to have 100,000 Bread tokens, and they ask all the time, what kind of rewards will I be having in a year from that? Well, you'll have access to all the rewards if you're tier 1. You'll always get the rewards. They'll always get to you first. But once we have, I'd say, I'm making a number up, but let's say about maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20 different things come down, you'll start seeing that top tier reward system be absolutely amazing to where, and we people joke about it, but we as a company are like, it's extremely possible that if you hold 100,000 tokens, by 2020, then that means that, we're going to have a Bread, what do you want to call it, gala. And if you have that many, then you get a free ticket, free flight. You're invited, and you get to come hang out with all the core team. Now, that's not really the most important thing, though. I want to talk about the lower tiers and the smaller, things that we're going to be adding. And at the end of the day, everybody likes different things, right? So I always have to preface it and say, not everything's going to be perfect for everyone, right? There's going to be something that comes out 1 month, and half the people will care, half the people won't. A good example is we just added the ability to buy Bitcoin with credit cards on our Bitcoin wallet, right? So on Bread now, or BRD, you can actually buy Bitcoin in all 140 countries that we're in with credit cards. Now here's the thing, it's 7.9%. Here in America, that doesn't make any sense. Why the hell would I spend 7.9% to buy Bitcoin when I can buy it for less? I can buy it for less in a lot of places. Now you can even buy Bitcoin on BRD with your bank account for 1%. So if you're given the option on the same app to buy it for 1% or 7.9, what would you do? 1%. But that 7.9 and that credit card purchasing was not built for Americans. It was built for a lot of the countries that have 25 to 30 to 35% margins and fees when they buy Bitcoin, because it's not as easy to buy Bitcoin in a lot of countries as it is here. So I get a lot of, I've gotten a lot of hate on the Telegram from certain users where they're like, what is this? Who cares? I don't give a damn. And I'm like, you don't, but this is helping a lot of people right now. So anyway, that's not the reward system. That's just functions that'll keep coming to the wallet itself. Some of the features, some of the rewards will be like portfolio management. And you think, if you're anybody like me, you're like, well, wait, there already is portfolio management. You have like Blockfolio and this and that. No. We're talking about portfolio management with extra details, right? The ability to do trades without fees. The ability, like for instance, and look, I have this caveat, because I know this is live, and a lot of it is already put in place by the team, but it hasn't been distributed through the team. And I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to. So I may give examples without having the right token number, right? So let's just say if you hold 50 Bread tokens and you're tier 7, and we've come out with a couple things. And now we want to do the next reward will be 5 free trades, right? So tier 10 gets that 5 free trades. You can trade Bitcoin for Litecoin, Litecoin for this ERC20 token for this one, or possibly like free buying of Bitcoin, right? If you're just a certain tier. So I know that sounds a little crazy right now because there aren't that many places that want to do that, but that's what we want to do with this. We want to build a reward system where the people that hold bread tokens in their BRD wallet get rewarded with all these features and functions as time goes on. So I look at it like by the time 2018 comes in, every time I buy Bitcoin through Bread, or I'm going to, be able to buy it cheaper than anywhere else in the world. Every single time I want to Shapeshift, right? And because we're not integrating with Shapeshift, that's not a partner of ours. It doesn't mean it won't be in the future, but our goal is actually to build our own version of it. And that way we can have better control and give discounts to the bread holders. So awesome. if you try and shapeshift Litecoin to Bitcoin, you may pay, let's say $1,000 to $1,000 Litecoin Bitcoin. You may pay $50, and that's actually not bad considering that Shapeshift is taking that money. I love Shapeshift, by the way. They're taking the money, they're doing all the hard work for you, putting it in the exchange, travel, put it back there. Costs $50. So the reason we want to build it on our own is so that we can do those things for free. And then, when you talk about atomic trading and all these wonderful new technologies that'll be coming down the line, we can integrate those, and that will actually help our reward system and make it stronger and even more beneficial for our users. And we haven't released a lot of the rewards yet as far as like a list. And it's funny because a lot of people have already said that Bread has some of the best customer service, and I'm not trying to be egotistical when I say this, but if you guys have ever, if you come on my Telegram, come onto @BreadChat, the Telegram channel, you basically get 24/7 customer support by either myself or one of our ambassadors. So awesome. I should have dark bags under my eyes, but no, it was really important to me, like I said, to build that customer service for Bread. So, another one of those tiers will be white glove service, where no matter what, you can always get a hold of, me or the support team and not have to wait for a day for email support or something like that.
That's really cool. So, so it's basically, everybody's familiar with reward systems. So this kind of makes it appeal to everybody and really gives, it sounds like a really well thought out way to make sure that the rewards get distributed as easily and as sort of seamlessly as possible, which ultimately, it's almost like, hey, we're actually proving that trickle-down economics could work. It's just, as long as they're transparent and accountable.
and I should say one other thing. So, the tokens themselves, there's 88.8 some odd tokens. I'm just going to say 88 million tokens plus a little. And the circulating supply is 59 million. If you were to go to CoinMarketCap right now, it's going to say it's a little bit higher, but that's because Bread kept 1/3 of them back so that we can distribute those and give those for doing certain things in the app itself. So if you read our white paper, you'll see, like for instance, if you log in, once a day, maybe you'll get one bread, right? If you tweet about it, you'll get 5 bread. And we're going to always have promotional things. So we kept 1/3 of the tokens back so that we could distribute them as needed for our clients and customers and really do it that way. We did not keep them back to sell them. So anyway, the circulating supply is actually 59 million. Coins, which isn't much, and we're not making any more. That's the total cap. So I think that's one of the reasons. Look, I technically I shouldn't because I'm part of the company, and I should never really talk about the price or going up or down. But to me personally, after investing in so many cryptocurrencies, that low supply really kind of got me as excited because I realized I was like, if Bread takes off and there's only 88 million tokens. And there's 7 billion people in the world, and if you look at our website, it says our #1 goal is to have a bread in every pocket. So that's that's not enough, which means the value goes up over time. So hopefully,
so what's the divisibility of the coin?
Say that again.
How many decimals divisibility?
Oh, just same as Bitcoin. 8.
Okay. Well, it's a key thing because it's actually not 8 with Ethereum, and most people don't know that.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to real quick breeze through the last 3 items here in the box because it just leads into this conversation about tokens, right? We're talking about this Bread token ICO, talking about cryptocurrencies, and we try to cover all ranges here. And one of the things that I want people to continually come back to is really make sure that it's fully understood, right? So here I have a coin, an actual metal coin. Now I'm not going to open this because it's staple. I'm going to keep it covered for now. But this, can you tell me what's the metal that this is made out of?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. No,
Okay.
so
and
I would assume
yeah, perfect
bronze.
answer. Perfect answer. No, I love it. No, perfect. And
bronze.
what's the value? What's the Bitcoin value of this right here?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Unless a collector really wants it, and whatever they agree upon for a price, they decide to pay in real Bitcoin.
No, so what those are those Cassius coin was a company back in about 2012, 2013 that what they did was they made these small little coins and they would put a public key on the back of it. And if you look at the back, you'll see that it's blank. I don't know exactly the whole story. I don't want to, disgrace anybody, but I'm pretty sure the U.S. government, is that fair to say? Basically said he couldn't do that. And it really came down to money transmission because this gentleman was selling these coins with Bitcoin loaded on them. And that makes you a money transmitter. And if you do not sign up and do all the legal mumbo jumbo, then they shut down your company. So Cassius coin got shut down years ago. And he got stuck with all these blanks, so I bought a whole bunch of blanks just because at the end of the day, I think it's really funny to be able to hold a Bitcoin in your fingers, but it's not a real Bitcoin. It's just a metal coin that has Bitcoin on it. And note to self, if anybody's listening to this, if anybody ever tries to sell you a coin and says it's a Bitcoin, unless it's like a Titan
unless
coin,
you know how to actually verify it.
Yeah, unless it has a QR code on it that you can pull money on.
Right. Yeah. So to that point, the Satoshi white paper. This is such a beautiful. I love this thing. Coin Center, I guess, made this.
So Coin Center. Let me give them a shout out because not many people care or know. Coin Center is are the guys and girls that do the one thing that none of us want to do, which is they go to talk to the government and they go try and get good regulation in place for all of us.
Don't say none of it. None of us, because I'm doing that.
You want to go talk to the senators? God, I don't want to do that. But no, it's a respectful thing, and they do a lot of hard work to make sure that the laws are fair for us, and they can do that's their full-time job. And Coin Center built that. All that is a copy of the Satoshi white paper, which anybody can look up. It is the very first artifact of Bitcoin to me. So I thought it was very important. If you actually read it, a lot of it is very technical. But it's still, to me, the very first artifact of Bitcoin. And I find so many people learn about Bitcoin, hear about Bitcoin, I want to make money. And I'm like, have you read the white paper yet, though?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You should check it out.
Thank you. So, and the last item here, beautiful crypto art. There's a little bit of explanation there how that works. These are limited edition. Now, these are not loaded so that they are not money transmission, right?
They used to be. They
used to be. Yep. But now they're not because if they are, then once you load them, it might be considered money transmission.
Exactly. So a bit about that. Another shout out. Troy Fearnow from he lives in Austin now. He built that company about 4 years ago, and they have almost 25 different prints now. They have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dashcoin. I've been in this game too long. Purecoin, they have, and then they keep building new ones. And as you can see, you can actually take that public key that's on the bottom left, and you can store your Bitcoin or your Litecoin or your Dashcoin on those paintings, and then you can put them on the ceiling. And look, if I put my finger, where is it? See that? Look at those. Those are more crypto arts. In fact, look, this is one of my favorites right here. That's a Dart coin from back when it was Dart coin before Dash was Dart.
Nice.
And that's a large one, and that actually holds Dashcoin.
Nice.
So, and at the end of the day, it has a private key on the back, and you can sweep, or what we call sweeping, basically taking the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency off the painting anytime you want. So it's a fun way to store. It's cold storage. It's unhackable. It's not connected to the internet. Some would argue to me, it's like the safest way in the world to store my money. Somebody could steal that painting and they still wouldn't have my money because I don't keep the private key on the painting. Right.
Right. Yeah. Right on. So you removed the private key from the painting. Is that? They're removable? Yes.
Yeah. So actually, if you open that up, there's a red sticker, and you take off that red sticker, it gives you your private key. And that's also how you know it hasn't been tampered with, because if the red sticker is, messed up a little bit, somebody may have that private key.
Awesome. Great. Well, so I appreciate all of what you've been doing, man, in this space. It's awesome. And so I know I kind of messed up the beginning of this, and I'm hoping you guys maybe got to do a little bit of a chat about what else is going on here. And I was wondering, do Mark or Seth or anybody have any other questions for Alex here? Oh, I think we're muted.
Well, I think what you're doing is really interesting. I think the idea. The idea of a starter box is great. I should mention just an idea. My sister works at something called BarkBox.
Yeah, I know it. I know
You
it.
know it? Yeah, so it's a monthly box. And so at some point maybe you would want to transition to that if it's of interest. But absolutely, right now we're at a stage where we just have lots of beginners. So
it's funny.
Yeah.
I want to partner with somebody, and I want to train somebody, and I want to give that ability to somebody else. And I say that because this box isn't meant to make money. I don't want it to be subscription because it's how do I say this? I don't know whose that is. It's not mine. Where's that coming from? All right.
Okay.
Anyway, no. I love that idea. I've thought about making a subscription box so many times, but at the end of the day, I really want to leave that for somebody else to do because and I'd help them do it. If anybody ever sees this, contact me. I'm going to give you everything I can to make that successful.
Well, so
I have my hands full. I have my hands full. It's simply that.
Yeah, totally. Well, so that's the kind of thing, and I'm kind of the same position where what we're trying to do is we want to spark activity, right? Our biggest enemy is apathy, right? And so, it's the kind of thing where what I like to brainstorm is what I call value circuits, right? How do we who stands to benefit for the Bitcoin boxes to get out there, and how do we put together some kind of model where we can flip the switch on a smart contract and literally have the Bitcoin box DAO, right? And make this thing move and give it some legs of its own. And so, I look at this and I go, man, I definitely see the value in it. I think people would see the value in it. But I think more importantly, the people who would see the value in it would be the ones that want to get it for a friend or family member, right? And so the idea there is, how do you set that up? And I like the idea of auctions. It's funny. I watch some of the collectibles you got in here, are really cool, and watch some of the collectible guys, at the conference, and
those
kind of the
cool.
way
Those are really cool. That one booth that had all the paper and coins. They had Cassius coins. They had all that stuff.
So and I heard they did a couple of like live random auctions too, where they were like, all right, this has like 1 Bitcoin, or this has like 0.1 Bitcoin from back in this date. And, it's got all these other coins on it. We don't even know. We're not even keeping track anymore, but we'll start the bidding at 0.1 Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So it was just fun. So, there's that whole collectible aspect of it, but the reality is there is a limited supply of this stuff. But there's also a lot of education to be done, and there's a lot of ways to do some outreach.
So I'll tell you one last thing. I thought about pivoting 100 times. It's really just come down to two things. One, crypto art. I am happily destroying Troy's inventory by selling my boxes, and because every picture is limited, right? So I'm working with him to have a custom made one, which would be a Bitcoin beginner box version of crypto art. So artwork that shows off what we've done with the box, but it wouldn't be limited, right? And the second part about it would be finding a way to, and I joke, clone me, but find more people like me that I trust, that I could use as advisors, because I could sell 5, 10, 15, 100,000 boxes a year if I had an unlimited crypto art and I had individuals that I knew that I could pass these people on to after they read, then go through it. The only other idea is just to take the consulting part off, which I've considered, and I've considered that, and lower the box price to like $30, because right now it's $75 because you get an hour of my time. The crypto art is $60 itself, so you get about $150 worth of value for $75. So I've considered pivoting many different ways, and I very, very probably will, because as it is, it's sustainable, but I'm not going to reach that many people.
Maybe so. I talked to the folks from Vanyware. I think you're looking at it a little bit more. We just include some Vanyware tokens, and that covers some live video consultation, and then it's somebody else that can show up, and they've been peer reviewed for their credentials, and you can be one of the peer reviewers.
Could you repeat that again? What was the name?
Vanyware, VANYWHERE. This is not necessarily an endorsement, but I've started doing research on them, and I have spoken with them, and at least one-on-one, I've had a good impression from them, and I think they're doing some really cool things.
Yeah, cheers. I'm up to partnership at the end of the day. That's
totally.
So trust. Got to trust the people that are teaching my students. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what, I'm hoping maybe we can get happening here, is just we're building a trust network so that people can learn who to go to and actually trust to answer questions thoroughly, and to actually be able to say, I don't know if they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, let me find another resource for you, because that's the best answer anybody can give if there's any question.
You know, it's funny. Some of the partners for the box were competitors. For instance, I highlight 99 Bitcoins and We Use Coins because at the end of the day, I thought those were my competitors because there is no physical education box. So that wasn't a competition. It was really where to go afterwards. Where are you going to get good information? So I did so much research on We Use Coins and 99 Bitcoins, contacted them personally, really spoke to them, figured out and read through everything they ever posted. And I was like, these guys get it. So, you know, that's something where I'll push people after me to them because, you know, that's where you're going to keep learning. And there's also other places, and it's in the box, it's in the booklet, but like Udemy and, you know, all these great educational resources. So really it's not a lack of resources. It's just figuring out which ones you can trust.
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, you said something about this, I think, over the weekend. It's about bridging that gap between, you know, making sure that technology is bringing people together, right? And so, you know, people can do the research and all they want, but at the end of the day, they still need to learn how to evaluate a person they can trust, because they don't need all the information if they can identify a trustworthy partner, right? And so we, to some extent, we all advocate in this space, like personal responsibility and all that. But, you know, as a parent, you know, kids, you got to be responsible for them. And in society, you look around and there's definitely, you know, we're all interdependent upon one another. And so to a certain extent, there's always going to be people that are going to function and thrive. You know, look at artists, right? I mean, it's great that some of these artists may be learning about Bitcoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of them just have a personality type that they really struggle to deal with the whole like concept of trying to deal with their money. And why is it not then up to us to come up with a token economic solution that creates a value circuit that makes sure that our artists are taken care of because they're creating our culture? And instead of stressing them about their credit card bill, they can just worry about making some art, and we can make sure that society takes care of them for that. You know, that's
humanities are the spice of life, man.
No, I love it because hold on, I'm gonna do this really quick. See if I can. I just saw this yesterday. I know you all know Banksy. I'm gonna screen share real quick. Check this out.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Nope, still seeing you.
Ah, dang it! I was hoping it. Well, Banksy just did this thing on the streets of Paris where it's a big green flower with Bitcoin in the middle of it, and underneath it are four crypts. And it says the pound, the dollar, the yen, the won, and that's funny. You know, that's exactly.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I know exactly what one you're talking about now. Yeah.
So no, I agree. Art, as crypto art, you can see I've got art all over the place.
Right.
Art is a big deal, and it's definitely something that we need to support. It's almost to a point where like it's a charity. You know, so many artists work for nothing just because that's their passion. So that's
right. Right. Absolutely. So, you know, multi-signature wallets, I mean, these features, so that's where I was going with that, actually. So Bread Wallet, I mean, as far as, and maybe there's, you know, I don't know how much into the technical or the dev side you get into, but, you know, one of the things that I think really grants real security in this space is multi-signature wallets, when you can start to create all these different parameters about how money can be moved and released. So that, you know, if something happens to you, it can go where you want it to, and you can really be in control of that. And you're not relying on, you know, granted, you know, maybe in theory, you've been able to trust lawyers with their, you know, wills and stuff. But you know what family doesn't know of a story about some uncle or cousin or some other family that, you know, there was some kind of stuff that went on about somebody trying to change a will and jockeying over will and that kind of thing. Like, this is, you know, once it's set. You don't have to get permission from somebody, get somebody to sign off on something. You sign transactions. So where do you maybe hear from the devs and such see Bread Wallet getting into sort of the future of like, you know, signing transactions, right? It's not just about moving money. It's about signing a transaction and confirming that I actually agreed to this and I'm confirming that, and we can combine that.
It's so funny. So most people know that Adam Trademan is the CEO of Bread, right? But the president and the founder is actually Aaron Vorzine, who is the head of the board of directors. And, you know, I said it like this to him yesterday, because when I did the talk in Dallas, it's crazy. When you are talking in front of hundreds of people, your brain does something it doesn't do any other time. It creates these weird processes, and it made me think of something I'd never thought about before, because I was telling a story of how I just had a friend that died. He got in a car crash, his phone broke, and So his family knows he has cryptocurrency, but nobody knows where it is, right? And his phone's broke, so we don't, we can't see if he had, a certain type of wallet. We don't know if he backed it up. We don't know if he has his private keys anywhere. We don't know. So here I am searching through his computer, and this is with permission of the family, trying to find his money, right? But telling this story at the conference really got me thinking, because I'm like, well, wait a second, hold on. I work for Bread, which is a bank, and well, wait a second. What if I just go talk to them and say, what can we build something like this? So we actually had a conversation yesterday about I don't know what to call it yet, but a legacy system where we can give our users an option. You don't have to, and that's the problem though, because and I can't go. I'll say this: I can't go into the specifics because it's breaking that NDA sort of stuff.
Fair enough.
But I can say that that's something that we very, very much want to build. And the biggest problem, and not so much a problem anymore, but the reason why it's going to take time is because the easy way to do it, Coinbase could do that right now because they have your private keys. The hard way to do it is to do it without having access to the private keys.
Exactly.
So, one way, which is the way we don't want to do it, is to create an option for the users to give us, their private keys. So now we have a copy of it too. And they basically would type in some information that says that if this person comes to us, like with a death certificate, right, of you, then after making sure that the person is dead and that's a real death certificate, then we can release the funds because we would have their private key.
Which is basically what Coinbase would, in theory, be able to do the way they're set up.
Right. But that still breaks down the custodialness, the non-custodialness of our wallet, which is what we think is the most important thing, is never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, having your private keys. That's for you and you alone. So that's where I kind of have to stop and say, we are going to do this. And it's funny too, because like I said, we talked about this yesterday, but Aaron and Adam, so Aaron, the founder, Adam, the CEO, turns out they were talking about this like 3 years ago. And it's been a 3-year conversation to figure out how they could technically do it with code without needing a private key. So I'm excited because, one, I love the way that these guys think, because here I am thinking I came on and came to this huge idea that nobody thought of, and they're like, no, we've been working on that. No, so that to me, that's a big one. You asked about multi-sig though, and there's nothing that I don't know when we're coming out with multi-sig. There's nothing that they've told me that says that we're not going to do multi-sig. We as a company, we love multi-sig. In fact, one of the reasons that, again, I was talking about CoinMarketCap, we have a circulating supply of 59 million coins. If you go to CoinMarketCap, it says higher. It says like 74 million right now. A lot of people are questioning that. It's because we took some of the coins, and guess what we did? We put them in a multi-sig wallet. So so we moved them because at the end of the day, a multi-sig wallet is great. It's great for families and it's great for businesses. So that way, let's say there's five of us here. Let's say we make a 5 out of 5. So that way, even if 4 of us decided to steal the money, we need all 5 keys entered at the same time. Not at the exact same second, but you know what I mean, to get access to funds. Or just simply 3 people, you have, everybody gets a key, and you can choose. Do I want to do 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3? But that way you don't have a single weak link of failure. So I really do like the idea of multi-sig wallets. I think it's a really nice function for wallets and
the other piece of this is, I believe you said something, you were talking about incorporating other currencies. Is Bread just Bitcoin still?
So right now on Android it is our roadmap, and there's nothing that has thrown us off really, so that's good. But our roadmap, we want to have full ERC20 support and Ethereum by the end of March, or by the end of Q1. So
awesome. Right
now, if you have an Apple, and it's funny, I literally just went, look, you can actually see the tag right here. I just bought this Apple today because I don't have an Apple, and I need to be able to support people on Apple too, right? So Apple actually has a beta where you can store Bitcoin, Ethereum, and your Bread token. Bread token is an ERC20 token. So we use that as kind of our model to learn over the port, not just learn, but basically code it correctly so that we can have full ERC20 support. Because right now we have one coin that's ERC20 in the wallet, and but that was our test case, so we could see how it worked and see if there was going to be any difficulties. Beta test it for a while, and we're very confident about having probably, and there's great ERC20 wallets right now. But
so if you're getting if you're getting ERC20 tokens in there, then you essentially Bread will become a DApp interface in the future, right? Where if you've got voting rights with your token, then you can use those rights through the application or the interface with Bread. Is that basically how that'll work?
That's a technical answer, and just like we were talking about trust,
Yeah.
My biggest thing is not creating misinformation.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
So
Cool.
specifically from the company, I haven't heard us talk about that yet, but I also don't sit down with the coders. I'm here in San Antonio. Most of the coders live in San Francisco, and they all work together at this giant table at the office in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So no, we do daily meetings, and I get to talk to the coders quite a bit. But when it comes to stuff like that, no, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. Will you be able to store Decred? Right? They have a voting mechanism, and when we have Decred as a coin that can be stored in our wallet, will we have the ability to give those same functions that you could do if you had your Decred in the Decred wallet?
Right.
That is a phenomenal question that I don't know the answer to, but I can get the answer for it, and I can answer back later. Right on. That's a really good idea. I just don't know how feasible it is with the amount of coins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So now this might be a little bit easier to answer, but I don't know if you want to. So if we were to say launch a token that was geared toward a Vermont project, not necessarily an ICO, but just something that we wanted to be able to integrate with some functionality in the state. There's a pilot going where Propi is working with South Burlington on a title land registry pilot, and so things like that, where there might be an opportunity to get the tokenized assets of somebody's property or something like that. How much work is it for your dev team to go? I mean, you've got that one ERC20 token on there. Obviously, hopefully that was sort of the learning one. But like how fast, how quickly is going to accelerate? And then, once you got like 20, 30 on there, how hard is it for some insurance company in Vermont to go, hey, Bread, we really want you to support our token. How do we get this to work with you?
Great question. So at the end of the day, it's getting a lot easier. And I want to say it like this. The reason ERC takes a long time is because it's not just one coin. You're dealing with a smart contract platform. You're dealing with multiple coins. You're dealing with education. Because although you and I may know that if you're holding Bread tokens in your Bread wallet right now on an Apple, and you can't even tell you how many people have tried to send their Bread tokens out of the wallet without having any Ethereum in their Bread wallet, right?
Yeah.
Now, this isn't too much of a problem when you're using my Ether wallet, because most people already, for some reason, have Ether in their My Ether wallet. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
But most people use the Bread wallet for the first time. They put their Bread in. Now they're like, okay, I want to put it somewhere else too, right? It's not sending. Well, you have to have Ethereum to send any ERC20 token. You have to spend the gas and the GUI. So it's a lot easier to do coins than it is to do an entire smart contract platform. So for instance, I'm talking to the team and I'm like, again, this is not insider information because I'm not telling you one way or another, but we start talking about which smart contract we'll add next, right? Because Ethereum, but what will we do Ethereum Classic next? Will we do Expanse next? Will we do Neo next, right? Which one has the most dApps and tokens being built on it? Which one will it be? So that'll be a whole nother learning curve when we develop and start putting on that. But in the meantime, it's been pretty much broken down, and I'd say in coder language, pretty easy to add things like Litecoin. I mean that GitHub. I'm not a coder, but I understand it's getting a lot easier for a lot of developers, especially web developers, because it's been done many, many times. So it's not as much as writing all this code. It's a lot of copy pasting and just modifying a little bit for your application. Since we're a phone wallet, we have to modify everything specifically for Apple and iOS. And go through that.
So customer support question: can I sweep my my Ether wallet into Bread? Sweep it using the private key so that if I have Ethereum in there, then I don't have to worry about tracking that down. In time.
Okay. Yeah. Once we have full ERC20 support, there really should be no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't do it now.
You can sweep a Bitcoin wallet in there, right? You can sweep a Bitcoin private key.
Yes. Yep. And one other thing, a lot of people ask, and it's a great question. They say, well, what if Bread dies? What if the company disbands tomorrow? You guys are all on a plane and you all die at the same time. What happens, right? And that fair question. So at the end of the day, that private key, which every wallet uses a different private key. Bread uses a 12-word phrase. So you can take that 12-word phrase and you can actually import it into another wallet. So for instance, let's say Bread disappeared completely. You still have your private key. You can import that wallet into, a number of other wallets that exist just with that private key alone. So you don't have to worry about us disappearing. Even if we did, your funds would still be yours and safe.
Technical question then. So then you're using one of the BIP standards, 12 key, deriving other.
BIP 39.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're using one private key, and then you're going to derive, you know, Bitcoin address from that. You'll derive Ether wallet from that, the Bitcoin private and Ether private keys using the different derivation paths that those different networks use. And kind of like, you know, not to mention a competitor, but there is an open source wallet out there.
Feel free. No,
Yeah. Okay. So
say it.
Coinomi, I use Coinomi, and it's got a bunch. I mean, I don't know, 100+ coins now.
Yeah.
It's all, you know, one, you know, 12 key wallet, and you can derive all these different wallets from it. And
I don't know if you can see. Is it too bright? Wait for it. It's going to dim up.
Oh yeah, there you go. All your different wallet apps you're playing with. That's just the ones on one screen, right?
I work for a wallet, but I'm not biased. I don't think that it's one wallet rules them all. I think there's room enough for all these wallets. And I love the conference. I don't know if you saw us, but Edge and I, we were hanging out. We respect each other.
I was trying to get you guys both on here at the same time, actually.
It'd be fun. Hey, I do it. I do it. There's no problems there.
I'm sure they would too. Yeah, they were great guys. There's nuanced differences between these wallets, and it's really about freedom of choice, right? Everybody getting to choose what it is that they want to work with and how they want to operate.
User interface, customer service, security, easeability. I'm kind of making this up as I go, but these are the things that people choose when they want to use a bank, and they will be the same thing that people choose when they want to use a wallet. And yeah, so that's why we focus on certain things, and other coins like Edge, it has a step up on us right now because they have the ability to hold more coins than us. But and again, I'm not talking crap at all. I love the whole Edge team. Boy, they're all good. Their wallet's great. But we want to have better customer service because that's, you know, what we want to focus on more. So then it comes down to acquisition, right? And how are they marketing versus how are we marketing? At the end of the day, we're going to find users in both spaces. We might find grandmas, they might find kids, but that's the whole thing. I like to say, as long as we respect each other, both of us or all of us, talking about all wallets, will achieve success.
As long as you guys, either one of you and both of you, integrate whatever social impact coins we develop in Vermont, then you're our friends. Both of you.
And let me just say on that. So for instance, in the future, 6 months from now, if you want to create a token and you're looking to, you know, distribute it or do a token sale, there's two ways that Bread could possibly help you. The first would be that, you know, we can definitely help you airdrop tokens to every single person who has a Bread wallet, right? Especially if it's right now, if it's an ERC20 token, that'll be a lot easier. In the future, if we're supporting like the Neo blockchain and it's a Neo thing, then we could airdrop that too. But if you had just happened to make an ERC20 token and you just needed it airdropped out to be used in a platform, or you wanted to give like 10% of it as an airdrop, we could do that. Another way and another function for the reward system, how we see it, is we want to partner up with ICOs that haven't happened yet and give our users that have a certain tier, right, a certain amount of Bread tokens in their wallet, the ability to get into that ICO first at a discount. So basically like whitelisting or having first access and a discount because you're a Bread user who holds a certain amount of Bread tokens. So two ways that we're going to see that working almost. And it's funny. Again, this is something I don't know if I'm supposed to say. I'm pretty sure I can say this. I've seen the mock-up for it. And I kind of give the example, you know, when you're logging into something for the first time and it gives you the option, would you like to log in with Facebook, right? Or Google. And then sometimes you want to buy something and it'll say, would you like to buy it with PayPal, right? So we envision an invest with Bread button. So when all these new ICOs come out, you can easily just click the button and go straight from your app on the phone and do all of that. You can do the SAFT, you can do the legal mumbo jumbo, all of that can be done through the wallet itself. And even more into the future, we just want to be able to have everything be interchangeable. You know, atomic swaps,
modular.
I think, will change everything to where whichever wallet holds the most and has the best security and, you know, really has the best customer service, you're going to be able to turn any coin into any coin. And that free flow is going to be a beautiful thing where for so many years we've complained about, you know, fees and service fees, and, you know, that could all go out the window, you know, with these upgrades.
So let me ask you, or you ask me or us, you know, what can a state like Vermont, you know, so part of this conversation that we're talking about here is what can we do to attract entrepreneurs or go-getters like yourself that, you know, you could be living anywhere, right? You bounce all over the country, go to these different things, doing your thing.
Sorry about my dog.
No worries. You know, there's all these opportunities out there for people to really choose their own lifestyle, live where they want to live, and you know, just grit down and do the work. So what is it that you think might be attractive to people for a particular location? How can communities attract the mind share, right? That's what we want to do. We want to attract the mind share, gain proximity with forward-thinking, progressive entrepreneurs like yourself and all these other folks that we've been surrounding ourselves with.
You know, this may not be the answer you're looking for. I don't have a way to. There's no best state or best city or best town, but I will say this. After 5 years of creating meetups and, you know, San Antonio Crypto Network and building these things, going to meetups, it sounds a little weird, but I've created my own family and I have access to them 24/7. We have meetups here at this house sometimes, and you just build your own little community of like-minded people. And, you know, you in Vermont and us here in Texas, we probably do the exact same things, feel the exact same ways. But, you know, at the end of the day, you have a more beautiful town. You know, but no, long story short, I just think it's about building around you, you know, finding those people that you can trust around you and then just building that family. It's the same thing. I come from a broken, you know, home where my parents were divorced. So I kind of grew and learned to create your own family at a young age. And I think that's what you have to do in this space too. So it's not about which state is better. I will say, and I haven't kept up. If you had asked me like 2 years ago, I'd probably have cool answers. But I will say states are starting to become less or more inclined to be a good place to reside. So
let me rephrase that question. Yeah, let me rephrase that question. What can a state do to be more a part of this community?
So Texas is actually kind of good. It was one of the very last states to actually impose the AML KYC situation. So I brought the first Bitcoin ATM to San Antonio, and I was actually able to run it for a couple months before the regulations changed. But no. Hey, there's my dog. So at the end of the day, it's really just good regulation, you know, local. And here's one, the only thing that I've seen Texas, or really the only law thing I've seen in the past couple of weeks is Texas. I might say this wrong. I'm not a lawyer. It's not audited, but basically they brought down the hammer on BitConnect here in Texas. A state legislature
filed a cease and desist. Texas there's actually a couple other companies did as well with USI Tech.
Exactly. And I was like, that's right, Texas, because my state is at least with their eyes open looking at stuff. You know, that means they saw something that you know made them shifty-eyed. So they took.
And case in point, that's not new regulation, right? They're just enforcing regulations been around for a while. Not to say it's all great, but we don't need to necessarily invent new regulation for this.
If somebody's stealing from you and your state doesn't do anything about it, that's bad. I mean, I'll say it again. It's live. Shit, we pay enough. We pay enough taxes that they should be putting bad people in jail, and that's good regulation. People that are scamming us, people that are doing bad things, people that are distributing misinformation.
Yeah, anybody out there that's ever suffered from identity theft or credit card theft or any of that stuff, and ever dealt with it and chased it down and called the cops and heard and gone, oh, you know, but it happened here and I know this person did it, and the cops are going, yeah, well, we're not going to catch them, or oh, we don't have enough evidence, or whatever excuse they have to not chase it down, because for whatever reason, it's okay, because it's all just going to get written off and it's not worth chasing down, because they know that the government's just going to keep printing more money and keep blowing up the bubble.
Can I tell you a 1-minute story that has nothing to do with crypto, but it has to do with this? I bought a car, and I had my car stolen like 2 weeks after I bought it. So I called the police immediately. I filed a report, right? Then I started doing some digging. And I'm not going to go into the whole story. Long story short, it took me about 7 hours to figure out who stole it, where they live, their address. Had a friend drive me to the apartment complex, which was about 30 minutes away in San Antonio. And I pull up, and holy crap, there's my car, right? So I have a second key. So I call the police, and I say, hey, let's get these fingerprints off this, because that's the only proof I have. Here's the thing, though. It was parked right in front of an apartment, right? In front of a garage, right? So I know that here's the guy that stole my car. Now, I'm not one of those like rage people that's like, oh, I'm gonna get him. I called the police because, in all honesty, he took everything out of my car. He still had my key. And so I called the police, and I'm saying, could you knock on his door and get my key back? And, you know, if you guys want to arrest him, that's cool too. But I just want to make sure when I drive my car home, he doesn't come back and steal it again, because he's going to steal it tomorrow. He has the key and he knows where I live. And even though it was parked in front of that house, the cops wouldn't knock on the door, and they wouldn't let me knock on the door either, because I wouldn't have done anything other than say, hey, I caught you. Can I have my key back? Seriously though, can I have my key? But they didn't do anything, and that again, it's just wild, right?
Yeah.
So then I had to pay $200 to get my, the
key.
locks
Yeah.
changed.
And then hope he doesn't. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Wild. So, awesome. Hey, are there any questions you have for us about what's going on here? I know we've got Mark on here with Open Words, and I've mentioned briefly some of the other projects we've got going on. Anything in particular that's piqued your interest from maybe the conversation before I got here?
I mean, so you weren't very late, just to start off. Yeah.
Right
no,
on.
I got about 1 minute into it, and then you jumped on. But no, actually, I do want to hear about Open Words, because at the end of the day, I want to travel, and I see these little things where people are putting things in their ear, and it's translating things, and that's new technology. But at the end of the day, that's not really impressing anybody. And learning the language and then going to the country really impresses. And I am so language inept. I shouldn't say this, but I took 4 years of Spanish and 2 years of French, and I can't speak a word of it. So for people that their passion is, building ways to teach people, I'm actually excited to learn what your Rosetta Stone is, if that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if I could invite Mark to share with us a little bit about Open Words, and I love, if you could, Mark, I love the story that really is illustrating how you made the correlation between the progress in your previous industry and why open education, open software in language learning is so, I think, essential, and kind of like amazingly groundbreaking that you discovered this like 40 years after we came up with this technology that enables it.
Mm-hmm. Well, where to start? So if I understand what the story that you're referring to, Ryan, essentially, one of the main reasons I wanted to get into this area is because my background is in different fields. It's actually in biology. And I had a lot of experience with a lot of open source technology or free software, depending on what phrase you want to use. And and then I met my wife, and her native language is not English. And I could see that there just wasn't, so I did a lot of geographical analysis and geographical study in my research in the past. And I could see that there was really excellent software being developed that's open source in that field, at the cutting edge of geographical analysis. But when I wanted to do, to learn languages, and I wanted tools to help me with that, it just was not nearly as far along. And so basically Open Words just stepped into that vacuum. And we've been building a web application that has a lot of similarities to a lot of software that's out there, but there are really two big differences. Okay, so the two big differences are that we're open source, OER. We're openly licensed. That means all of the 60,000 lines of code of the web application are available on GitHub. You can scrutinize it, you can contribute to it, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other sense in which we're open is that we're an open platform.
Hang on just a second there. Sorry.
And we're an open platform. So that means that if you are an institution or an instructor and you want control of your content, right? So you want a certain kind of problems for your particular classroom, then we have a system where you can author those lessons. So whether it be whether you want hearing exercises or conjugation problems or simple sentence translation or sentence construction, or just a lot of vocabulary. Basically, the community has control over that. And since it's all OER, since it's open source, you would have the legal right and technical ability to copy, say one OER, one set of lessons that you really like, and paste it, and then retool it. And fundamentally, I think that there are several advantages to OER, and by virtue of being OER, we have these advantages. And what are they? I think the most important is intrinsic. So it's a common ownership of the technology. Two, there's advantages in how technology advances. If you can share educational material with someone else and they can adapt it to their needs, then progress can happen faster. And I think, and there's a third general category of value. Oh, and then the other one is cost. I mean, if the technology is open source, it can be a lot cheaper, honestly. But at the same time, so what I say to the language instructors and universities that we're talking to, we stand beside our technology. We don't stand in front of it. And so, one thing I learned is that there's actually a reason why the language learning technology sphere is a little bit slower than, say, geographical analysis. They have less awareness of open licensing altogether and open source technology. So we're at the beginning of that education process ourselves. Yeah, and so
I'm sorry, I was paying so much attention. You're probably looking at me like, is he looking at something else? I just registered and checked out your website and downloaded it, and yeah. So I just wanted you to know, because you may have seen my eyes typing and everything, but yeah, I'm just looking at your stuff.
So so where we are right now is we've finished the application, and we are now ready to work with universities to build content. So you can think of it basically, it's there, but it's empty. So it doesn't have substantial sets of lessons for any language at the moment.
Yeah, but I see that on the website, but still on your website, even just this little phone scrolling demo, I can see exactly what you're trying to create, and that is good, because we all learn differently, and different modules for. I really like it. I really like it. Like, I am a cat. Which one is this?
Chinese, yeah. So
and I've always wanted to learn kanji, right? So just and I see you talk about that, lessons tailored to the students. So that's really nice, really nice stuff.
So the thing that actually you might find interesting, Alex, is what we're planning on doing for financing OpenWords. So we have gotten to the point where it's like the Wikipedia. It's open source. There's a markup language just like the Wikipedia for corresponding to exercises. So it's very similar, but it's empty. And so now we need to work with universities, schools, instructors to build content, and that isn't free. So the code is free, but it isn't free for our educators and our developers to build lessons. And so what we're going to propose to actually a number of universities that we're talking to is that they basically can pay our lesson developers to work with their instructors to build the lessons that they need, that can then be shared with everybody. But now the difference here is, at the moment, we're realizing that a lot of our clients have computers, but they don't have disposable funds for OER. So we're going to be proposing that they do mining for us. And we're going to be specifically pointing to CureCoin. And other science coins. And we're just starting with that. And we have to math it out. We have to figure out how many computers for how long need to work. We can then sell it on the open market if we need our people to be able to buy the things that they need to live. But then at the same time, we become vested in the notion that, boy, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to switch 100% of the coins that we received from the university mining them. It'd be great if we didn't have to cash out 100% of them. But if there are other people in the value cycles that are in our economy, would accept them. And now we have a vested interest in that. So I'm realizing that there's a problem where there's a decline in funding in public goods, such as, I've noticed this for a long time, I'm not just realizing this, in education, and especially things like OER, open educational resources. And so these alternative means of financing offer an opportunity to get around that huge barrier. You know, I'm coming from a science background, and I can tell you, I consider science a public good. And when I was writing grants, it was under 10% of grants for being funded. These could be pure science grants or technology development grants for companies like our own, or straight education grants. And they're all under 10%. And now they're even worse.
Yeah.
So we have to get around it. I mean, we can't just not have public investment in these things. And so one way that we're doing it is basically developing revenue models, but then also offering to universities and to institutions, here's another way we can get around this. And that's what I'm really trying to do, basically. Yeah.
You know what's really interesting about that? It's funny. I talked to CureCoin. I've been, obviously it's in the box. I've been advising them for years. One of the things that I always wanted to do was create a pilot. Keep doing that. Create a pilot program where I go to an elementary school or a high school or a college that has, you know, anywhere from 30 to 3,000 computers. And I propose to them a deal. I will set up every single one of your computers to mine CureCoin, right? Okay. And in response for this, I get paid for my time, right? So maybe it's $2,500 one time, and I'm going to go spend like a month, you know, basically putting all these and basically setting up every wallet to go to the school. So it creates another source of revenue for the school with an object, or, you know, objects they already have. I can never, you know, as many times as I've thought about it, I'm like, I don't see where it hurts anyone. It helps everyone. And I wonder if that kind of idea could be used for you too, where you know, yeah, kind of use that same model. Use the school's computers, teach them how to do it, share some of that revenue with them, but share it, right? So for me, I was going to say maybe CureCoin could get 10% of it, maybe the school could get 70% of it, and then 20% of it could go to charity, right? But in your case, maybe it could go to your education company, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're building, and it's education. And education might as well be a charity at this fucking point in our lives.
No, that is the issue. So exactly. I mean, actually, so it's great to know that you have experience with this. I mean, if you don't mind, I'd like to contact you. Are you on Twitter?
Oh yeah, at Alex Eaton 1411. I'll just put
1411. I'll connect you. 14.
Yeah, and Mark, you are at OpenWords on Twitter.
Yep. At OpenWords. And so yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And I
just followed you, and yourself too. There you go. I found you.
So it's great to know that you have experience with it. And so we're going to be doing it. I see it as a real opportunity for basically forward financing. You know, they can start turning on their computers and building a revenue stream for us, and we will be doing things for them. And in terms of building open educational resources, and you know, it just seems like magic, but I've been going through the logic of it all as well, and it just seems like
it makes sense.
It creates positive outcomes on all ends.
It makes a lot of sense, and I love what you're doing. And yes, please contact me, and if there's any way I can help you, let me know. You know, it sounds stupid. I think I've written like 8 or 10 white papers over the course of the last 5 years. And when I say I've written a white paper, it's literally me drinking like a whole bunch of like coffee up at like 5 o'clock in the morning that I had an idea at 10 p.m. And I'm just like, I have to write it down or it won't become true, you know? I think I may have done one for that mining operation for schools, because at the end of the day, you know, there's just too many computers that are not being used, and that could harness so much good by, you know, folding more proteins, you know, bringing revenues to the schools which need it, and then there's always going to be that third party, which in this case could be a ungreedy individual who's trying to help the world learn each other's languages, right? So why can't all three of these things benefit at the same time without anyone losing anything? The tools are there, the information's there, the objectivity's there, it's all there. You just have to make it happen. So for me, the problem was always going to the schools and finding the person that could make that choice. Because, you know, I can go to the office and say, hey, here's my plan. Guess what? They have no idea what I'm talking about.
So let me ask you about that. Yo, sorry to interrupt there. So let me ask you about that, because you are specifically focused on education. And actually, honestly, that seems to be the most difficult aspect of this plan is the strangeness of it. So I was overjoyed to see that actually some businesses are engaging in mining or cryptocurrency revenue models. And that would just allow me to point to this to the various administrators to say, no, this isn't weird. People are doing this, and it does make sense. I guess one question I've got for you is, let's see, I had a question. I think I actually forgot it, but
you can ask me anytime. We're on Twitter now,
okay.
And I really mean that. Reach out to me anytime. Don't be shy. I'm very available.
Yeah, hey.
My girlfriend hates it, but I'm very available.
So I'm sure, and I'm not. So I'm sure this is an option. I'm sure we could go another hour if everybody wanted to. This has been awesome.
I was gonna say I gotta go eat dinner. Yeah, I'm gonna get shot.
Absolutely, yeah. We've run over. We've got our full hour in here. Okay. I loved this. This was awesome, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that we met this weekend, and keep up the awesome work. Yeah, Mark, thanks for joining us as always, and Seth, thanks for keeping us together here. All right, so yeah, again, everybody, thank you so much for the work you're doing and joining this conversation. We're going to try to keep this going every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Anybody else that wants to collaborate, please reach out, join up. I'm pretty sure I've been trying to put the link to the Hangout like right in the thing. I'm bad at this production thing, so anybody that wants to help out there, reach out. And other than that, keep up the good work in all your corners. Thank you all for joining us. Going off now.